Howdy folks, Keywii here, and welcome back to Suzerain, a safe space in which will be awesome, where this is genuinely just the best political simulator I've ever played. Genuinely. I really do mean that. Anyway, so this is a good one. I'm enjoying it. If you notice my voice coming in and out throughout the video at regular intervals, that's because my fan is off in the background, because it's warm. It's warm, and I'm not immune to the heat. Anyway, let's take a look at this dire situation over here. Funeral for Bernard Circus. A decision to attend the funeral of Bernard Circus. Okay, the death of Bernard Circus has shocked the country, and his funeral will be held in Dare, along with a large crowd of sympathizers. Circus was not only a communist poet, but also an elected MP that had a voice. The state funeral has been organized to honor him. The question is whether the president and the administration will attend the funeral. Oh, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Now, obviously, this decision, people will see it happen. All right, so this has consequences, yeah? So what we have here today, right now, right here, is do we show ourselves supporting Bernard Circus or not supporting Bernard Circus? Because both of them are going to have wide-reaching consequences. Everyone's going to hate me regardless of what I do. That's just the decision I must make. And then whole sword over there with the actual next thing I got to do. And he's a communist. He was a communist. Not anymore. Was, I like how it changed from is to was. Short politician, he claimed lyrical flow and was regarded as the leader of the swordish avant-garde. He was killed by a member of the Young Swords during Anton Rayne's inauguration ball. His early writings were heavily influenced by the social. Joined the Red Youth during the... Alright, so what is the Red Youth and what are the Young Swords? Let's take a look at these. The Red Youth is a political organization which alleged connections to a number of insurgent attacks against the Sordland government. It was founded in 1923 as a group of revolutionaries who were inspired by the Communist Revolution in United Contana, and they came together to promote malevolent ideas during the early days. Red Youth members participated in the protests against the Arcasian Second Fleet anchoring in the Sordland in the 1940s and also played an active role in the workers' action in the early 1950s. They continued some time as an underground organization. Their members participated in the Sordland Civil War and continued their protests after the war. Throughout the 20s, they engaged in urban warfare with right-wing militants. Despite heavy crackdown of their forces, the president, they managed to gather major support in many universities around Sordland. I wish I remembered who instigated. They're a nationalist political organization with the least connections to number of armed, has close ties, surfront. Political nature claimed to be the only, to only be a cultural and education party. Rose to Lutheran in late 1927 to rise prominence of the late Sordland Civil War, when his members engaged in urban guerrilla warfare with left-wing activists and militants. Scholars have described it as a death squad responsible for most of the violence and killings in this period. A staunchly pan-Swordist organization, the early 1930s, the Young Swords have managed to extend their area of operation into Swedish-speaking post-revolution Volksland. The organization has long been a prominent suspect in investigations into the Sordland deep state and is suspected of having had close dealings in the past with police forces and judiciary branch of Sordland. So, am I seen with the capitalists or the communists? Do I attend the funeral and show support and piss off the Young Swords? Or do I not attend and piss off the Red Party, the guys I forget the name of? Death of Bernard Circus has shocked the country, and his funeral will be held in Dare. I have to, man. I really do. It's going to be in the news, and I know that. Or it won't be. Interesting. St. Das Nursery Cemetery, Dare. Funeral of Bernard Circus. Okay, so this is the actual event. So no one knows that I decided to attend. It just, I haven't yet. The dark clouds are looming over Dare. They looked daunting as our convoy started approaching the century-old cemetery. It looked like it was going to rain, certainly fitting weather for a funeral. As expected, Bernard Circus's passing maintained its media traction and all of Sordland was paying attention to the ceremony, especially to what I would say in my speech today. So we have arrived. Raindrops keep falling on my head. We're running down the car window when Serge opened my door and held an umbrella over my head. As soon as I got out, flashes from the cameras blinded me. It's okay, Serge. I will hold my own umbrella. I must be seen as a man of the people. As you wish, sir. He handed me the umbrella and started waiting next to the car with his own. Waiting next to the car. Peter and Carl exited their own cars in the convoy. They made their way over to me. Anton. Mr. President. I just wanted to inform you that the perimeter is clear and secured completely. There's no one getting in or out without our knowledge. We don't want something similar happening again, do we? Better be right for your sake. Good work, thank you, Carl. We don't want something similar happening again, do we? Absolutely not, Mr. President. The same mistakes will never happen again. I personally made sure of that. Good. If anything happens to Anton, you will have to answer to the First Lady. Oh, she's gonna fucking kill you. And trust me, Carl, you don't want that. Peter let out a laugh, which drew some attention from bereaved attendees. Okay, Peter, calm down. Peter, you're being inconsiderate. I don't think any of us want that. Gesture Peter to lower his voice. You are the only one who can make me laugh at a funeral. You're being inconsiderate. You're right. Sorry. It started to rain. I don't wanna, rain on your parade personally, but like, time and place, It started to rain. Several unintelligible voices were heard from Carl's radio. He stepped out to reply and returned shortly. We have a small problem, sir. A few, 5 to be exact, Red Youth members are here to attend the funeral. They apparently said they wish to pay their respects to their fallen comrade. Should we let them in? Do you think they pose a security threat? Let them in, but put a few guards on them. Do you think they pose a security threat? I'm leaning to 3, but I want to hit 1. No, they are thoroughly searched. It looks like they really are here to attend the funeral. Let them in, but put a few guards on them. Just to make sure. We want to be sure. As you command. Let's head over. They're about to start. We walked towards the crowd circled around the grave. Everyone in attendance was wearing black in mourning. Obviously. The rain started pouring heavily. And the rain poured down. Bernard's widow and daughter were in the front row, staring at the coffin with a mixture of disbelief, confusion, and above all, a cold, unforgiving sadness. Both of their eyes were very red and swollen from weeping. Before taking my place to observe the ceremony, I gave my condolences, Jesus, Bernard's wife and his daughter, who looked at me. She reminded me of Dina. When the religious ceremony was done, I was invited by the priest to deliver my speech. I took the podium. I felt like I had a lump in my throat. I couldn't get the daughter's eyes out of my head. Today, we are mourning Bernard Serkis, a father, a husband, and a loyal servant to this country. Towards the back of the crowd, I spotted the members of the Red Youth wearing red shirts and black bands of mourning on their arms. They seemed ruly and were respectfully bowing their heads. Okay, well, good. There were complete silence except for the sound of raindrops. This is a great loss for all of us. I will confess that I disagree with Bernard Serkis almost entirely, but it doesn't mean that he deserved this. Our country can be a better place. Regardless of his ideology, this was a heinous act made towards a good man. We must end the cycle of violence. He was a true comrade, and he fought for what he believed in, his ideal version of Sordland in every step of his life. Regardless of his ideology, this was a heinous act made towards a good man. We must end the cycle of violence now. We'll make sure that unfortunate events such as this will never happen again. Serkis had a dream of a unified Sordland. In these next months, we will need to fulfill his dream and band together. I interpret this attack as an attack against Sordland and by extension against me personally. I promise you this, the blood of Bernard will not remain on the sacred ground of Sordland. Serkis had a dream of a unified Sordland. We need to fulfill his dream and band together. Let us mourn the passing Bernard Serkis and remember him well. But hatred begets hatred. This is only one way to overcome the vicious cycle. We must unite against the evil of this world. I'm not going to turn this funeral into a political thing. Here's to the family he left behind have a price that needs to be paid. I will not stop until it is paid in full. Let us all mourn the passing Bernard Serkis and remember him well. Thank you. I would like now to recite one of the poems he left us. Okay, alright. Our only strength is the will to survive, knowing that we will perish, knowing nothing more absolute. We rise toward the sun. Those who died fighting. They are now buried in the sun. No need to mourn. There is a raid to the sun. They did not let us sing our songs. They are afraid of the dawn. They are afraid of hope, but our songs will be sung. This one feels really good. A moment of silence, please. During the silence, all that was heard were the ravens. Some attendees started clapping, some crying. The coffin was lowered into the grave by the gravekeepers. After a couple minutes, Bernard Circus was with the soil, no more. As we bid farewell to Bernard, I want to close with the words every sword lives by. Morgna Westcor. I forget what that means. Go home. Cabinet, family, political assembly, other. This is just people. Oh, history, locations, organization. Yeah, this is just, okay. Ideologies, socialism, soulism is what that says. Search for Morgna, Nia Morgna. A Morgna Westcor. Alright, hit back. I forget. No search results necessary. Step down from the podium. We've had... Oh, I have to say a final word, but I don't like this final word. Step down from the podium. It was time to leave. The widow thanked me with a soft and defeated voice before we dispersed. On the way back to the car, I still couldn't get the eyes of Bernard's daughter, nor the faltering voice of his wife out of my head. Would Dina, Monica, and Frank look the same way if something happened to me? Peter put his hand on my shoulder. That was a good speech. I sense only respect from his voice. It's time to go. Agreed. We've got work to do. He was right. We had work to do. So much more to do. I realized that the rain had stopped, and I looked up. The black clouds slowly dispersed, and sunbeams enlightened our surroundings. As someone once said, even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise. Hope was still on the horizon. Okay, let's see how the news reacted to that. Also, what do we got in Wholesword? I'll read the report from Wholesword. Alright, well, I'll do that in a moment. Let me take a look. Wholesword Post. They are afraid of hope, but our songs will be sung. Huge crowds of mourners, including President Rayne and other senior Swordish officers, joining for a rare display of unity, poured into the heart of Dare today, to bid farewell to Bernard Circus, poet and politician who was shot and killed at the gates of the Maroon Palace after Rayne's inauguration ball. With hundreds of police officers in riot gear on duty and traffic barred on major thoroughways, the normally chaotic section of the city took on a somber atmosphere. Melanavist anthems played from loudspeakers along Freedom Avenue as Sordid citizens of various ethnicities stood shoulder to shoulder, many of them in tears. Others leaned out windows or over balcony railings to watch the procession. President Rayne gave a unifying message to all of Sordland by attending the funeral. He paid his respects to Circus and met with his close relatives. Rayne also made an emotional speech that touched thousands of attendees. He finished his speech with a quote from Circus. They did not let us sing our songs. They are afraid of the dawn. They are afraid of hope, but our songs will be sung. President Rayne's last farewell to Bernard Circus. Scenes of compassion, unity, and respect were recorded during the solemn funeral of Bernard Circus, which the VP and the President attended. President Rayne has shown respect and grace by letting Red Youth members enter the funeral to give their final goodbyes to their fellow travelers. The show of compassion is what the country deserved at this period of uncertainty. The new era of the Rayne administration indicates that the divisions of the country might soon be healed. That's the fucking plan! I attend the funeral of Bernard Circus. I decided not to fulfill the bribe demand of the oligarchs. I'm doing fucking something, okay? I don't know if it's good or bad, but I'm doing fucking something. The leader of the NFP, Casero Kibberner, has demanded an emergency be called to address the increasing political violence in the country. He stated that without a declaration of emergency, Sordland would be destabilized and the integrity of the country would be damaged even further. Now we got briefing on the current diplomatic situation. Fuck! Damn it! Outward diplomacy between multiple countries. Fucking damn it. The Blue Mansion in Lockhaven hosted us for the important diplomacy gathering. The door opened and David Whiskey, once a lecturer to me, now the Minister of Foreign Affairs, gently made his way towards my desk. May I sit down, Mr. President? Leave the morals aside, David. Please take a seat. Of course, it's a pleasure to see you, Mr. Whiskey. Gesture at the chair. It's a pleasure to see you, Mr. Whiskey. Likewise, we have so much ahead of us to accomplish. He slowly sat down, taking care not to aggravate the arthritis in his knees. Shit, arthritis can go to knees? I didn't know that. I thought it was just hand joints. Oh, that upsets me greatly. Oh no, I might get arthritis in my knees when I get older. Shit, that'll suck. I barely like walking around as it is. Damn it. He always had an air of gravitas about him. An old man had only served to deepen that. An old age. After he settled himself, he regarded me with delight, his blue eyes sparkling. Look at you, Anton, the 4th president of Sordland. What a privilege for me. I still remember the first day you took my class at the Lockhaven School of Economics. Somehow the inexplicable ebb and flow of life has led us here, to positions where you can change the course of history. Everything happens for a reason, David. It was meant to be. We got a little lucky, that's all. This is our opportunity to shape the future, and we will do precisely that. Everything happens for a reason. No, I'm not deterministic. I'm very opportunistic. I'm looking forward to our new foreign policy. He starts coughing again, this time for longer. Would you like some tea or water? Would you like some tea or water? Oh, yes, please. Tea and water sounds nice. Thank you very much. Smile. Olivia brought 2 cups of tea along with a glass of water and placed them on the table. It seems you still remember how much I like tea. Nowadays, it really does wonders to my throat. How's your wife, Catherine, doing? How has your niece, Margie, started going to kindergarten yet? How's your health, David? I'll do one more question, then we'll start talking about foreign policy. Oh, I haven't had any big complications except the usual, after that heart attack earlier this year. The health complications aren't a hindrance to my work, of course, but thanks for asking. How is the Rayne family? Surely starting to get used to the routine. I was really taking to the First Lady role. Frank never liked the spotlight, so that hasn't changed. They're slowly starting to get used to the routine. As time passes, I realize it more. Family is the most important thing in life. We must take care of them. The door opened. Lostaf and Lucian joined us for the briefing as the tall case clock hit the hour mark. Peter, however, was missing. I wondered if it was late for all the drinking he did at the party in Lockhaven. We'll talk more later, President Rayne. Welcome, everyone. Let's begin. Very well. I will start by providing a brief overview of our current status with our neighbors. What would you like to start with? Agnolia, Volgsland, and Welland. Alright, well, so Agnolia is up here. Welland, Lesbia. Volgsland. Excellent. Across the way. I'd like to hear about Agnolia. Our brotherly neighbor to the northeast, Agnolia. They are still diplomatically non-aligned and probably has one of the most diplomatic systems between our neighbors. Economic stagnation is a worry for them. Their primary issue is their heavy reliance on foreign investment from us. Agnolia is our most friendly neighbor. We have been allies for the longest time after Runeberg annexed Dome. This fact needs to be part of the equation. Unsurprisingly, the Agnolian Prime Minister, Martin von Hoorten, fucking multiple letters, is expecting better cooperation through a new fair trade deal with us. It was one of his election mandates. Well, think about his request. The matter is still on the table. A more comprehensive trade deal sounds beneficial to all sides. We should maintain the existing agreement. We can't lose our advantage. See, we don't need an advantage against Agnolia. We need an advantage against everyone else, which means trust and solidarity with Agnolia is probably the best bet. More comprehensive trade deal sounds beneficial to all sides. Both sides could gain from it, but Agnolia has more to win than us. They want to protect their weaker industries, which we are profiting from selling our goods to. Additionally, the latest numbers indicate that currently 1 million Agno-Swordish citizens live in the England region of Sordland, which creates a link between foreign policy and our internal affairs. These people have suffered socioeconomically, which led them to crime and other problems. In addition, a relaxed immigration policy was one of Agnolia's main requests, which is unacceptable. Most of the migrants in our country haven't even assimilated into Swordish culture. Adding more won't help. I'm skeptical about relaxed immigration. I'm supportive of relaxed immigration. What was my note on immigration? People want reform, therefore good. Violence everywhere after the attack. What's my immigration policy? No, I don't think I wrote it down. I'm skeptical about relaxed immigration. I genuinely forget what my stance on immigration is. There should be. We have already witnessed several society shifts, waves of migration. We should remember that we promised to keep our immigration laws relaxed in the election campaign. Okay, that was what it was. What's the latest? I want to know about Volksland. Alright, so let me actually get that down. We promised relaxed immigration. Okay, there we go. Good. Our cousins of old across the Markian Sea wish to have good relations with us. As we all know, Volksland is a socialist republic allied with United Contana. They are an important regional player. It's also the most significant sea power in Eastern Mercopa. We had hostile relations with them after civil wars in the 19th century, which we wouldn't want to experience again. Recently, the relationship has warmed up thanks to Emmerich Hegel. As a result, diplomatic talks can be conducted in the future. Not easy to forget about the Great Fire of Conriat. Thousands of lives were lost that day. Breaking the ice with Volksland could be good if we are to rise diplomatically. We shouldn't take sides between regional powers. I agree they could be potential allies in our opinion. The situation in the region necessitates that we find allies. They haven't been in good relations with us for the past 200 years. Recently, they also joined the Communist Contanian Security Pact, subjugating themselves to United Contana. On top of that, territorial issues flare up between Agnolia and Volksland because of the Helgeland Island. The Swordish Navy is very concerned with the volatile situation. Lucian looks slightly worried. Unfortunately, billions of Swordish rand worth of cargo is transported close to Volkslandian maritime borders on the Markian Sea and the Grey Strait. This causes significant risk to our imports and exports in the case of a deterioration in relations. The strait is of high strategic value to us. Losef, the Navy is keeping an eye on the situation from a distance, right? We are actively monitoring the sea routes and cargo ships for now. There is no immediate threat, but we don't know what can happen in the future. What's the latest situation in Welland? Alright, so, Alright. So here's what we gotta do. You gotta get notes. Magnolia wants more fair trade deal. Wellin wants stronger border. Trade deal. And let me just put an asterisk there. These are our other nations, you know? Magnolia wants fairer trade deal and looser immigration policies. I want stronger border. All right. So what was hang on? What's the name of this one over here? Edgeport. Yeah, these two are fighting over. All right. So Volksland. Volksland. What did Volksland want? Hang on, let me reread that. Missionary imports and exports. Territorial issues. Wants to warm up. Important. We don't piss them off. Oh, hang on. There we go. Wellin wants stronger border. Sorry, Wellin. It is tumultuous in the south. As always, Victor Smolak is expanding his powers among protests from Wezek people. However, he is quite positive about a normalization of relationship between our countries. Reports indicate that that they have been warming up to Contanin international aid. As you know, Welland's stability is always a concern for the region. But if we want to help them, we must not treat refugees like we did in the 30s. I still can't stomach the inhumanity of those people suffered. A trade agreement with them would improve stability and increase mutual trade. Why help such a disorganized state not sure about what we can do to help them? Sordland paid enough by housing millions of refugees during the Welland Civil War. No more. A trade agreement. Look, I'm the economist, okay? We need the trades. There would be many bargaining chips discussed, but Welland could be a new partner in the region. We would also invest in stability there. Our main goal should be to avoid a refugee crisis like the late 1920s. The Civil War had major security and economic repercussions on Sorder soils. One of the demands of the President Smolak was to toughen our immigration laws, so the political refugees don't escape to Sordland. There has been a recent purge that pushed many Blutish to flee Bergia. It is definitely troubling. Gumran Outpost has regained its importance due to this. I'm sure you would remember that winter at the border outpost, Mr. President. He was right. I did remember that winter. It's like an anime scene. He was right. I did remember that winter. I remember how cold it was when I let the refugees slip through. I was discharging my duties as a result. My major Losef Lancia, no less. Spending the rest of my service cleaning toilets and sleeping in a cell. In fact, there had been a similar refugee situation in the past. Even Mr. President himself chose to disobey direct orders from his commanding officer at the time. I was young and I made a mistake. Past is past, let's move on. And you made me sleep in a prison cell for it. I will never forget that. I did what was right. I was young and I made a mistake. You paid the price for your mistake, so it doesn't matter anymore. He opened his mouth to continue, but David cut in. Our focus should be on the current matters. The Blutish minority is very large inside Welland, too, which is a factor to consider. It is in our national interest to prevent the formation of a failed state on our western border. Welland has been increasingly aligning itself towards the Communist Alliance. Another point to analyze. Let's move on. All right, so we're getting communism on both sides of us here. Agnolia just wants to chill. They want some fucking trade. Cool, whatever. But fucking across the sea, fucking to our west, it's all communism. Let's move on. Two important neighboring countries remain, Lesbia and Rumburg. What would you like to hear about first? I know what's going on with Rumburg, so tell me about Lesbia. Stronger border. We should prevent Blutish nation popping up. Rumburg is ready. I love that. Our southern neighbor is aligning itself more and more with Arcasia. Lesbia is currently led by Arcasia. What is Arcasia? Oh, the Republic of Arcasia, commonly known as Right, America. So we got capitalism to our south, too. It's currently led by Prime Minister Patricio Olenzev. They are the jewel of the continent and the second largest economy in Mercopa. They're wealthy. Lesbia suffers from excessive economic inequality. Though wealthy. Our past relations have been great, but during the last decade, their investments into Sordland dwindled due to our instability. Allying with the richest national region could be beneficial. Lesbia is a sleeping giant. We should not awake them. They keep turning a blind eye towards the region, thinking that Lesbia is above it all. Lesbia is a sleeping giant. We should not awake them. They keep turning a blind eye towards the region. The lesbian mentality is influenced by a certain aura of heroism and specialism. Their moral compass is different from ours. I'm certain that's actually just a really fascinating sentence. So, obviously, like, how we think about, like, that sort of, like, the mentality influenced by being a hero and being special, that's very North America, and that's very what I'm used to as a person, growing up culturally, that's been all around me all the time. So, hearing their moral compass is different from ours was something like a small system shock. It was very interesting. It's just another reminder that this game, how immersive this game is. I'm certain that the recession has a lot to do with the retraction of investments. Once they see that money isn't in the picture, they vanish rather quickly because they are capitalists. They have shown a selfish attitude during the Welland Civil War by closing their borders and funneling refugees to cross into Sordland. Lucian cleared his throat. Our values are too different with Lesbia. It will be hard to see eye to eye. Inspirational to me. Look at their economic. No. We're too different. We're not American. We're not Lesbia. I completely agree. Lesbia has, for a long time, benefited from us through our old tariffs. They are after exploitation. There are hundreds of very privileged oligarchs who invest inside and outside of Lesbia. Some made significant business investments in the cities of Benfi and Valgan. All right, so let me type this up here. So Vespia, real rude. No. Real dullest and willing to drop us on a dime for a dime. All right. Perfect. What is the situation with Rumberg? This is the important one. Now the most troubling nation, Rumberg, a constitutional democracy led by Queen Beatrice Livingston. I highly advise caution and calculated action against Rumberg. Our military must be prepared. The threat is real. They are strong and have the motivation, as well as the means, to damage us. We shouldn't give them any reason to pursue aggression. I'll take your advice in consideration. Rumberg is and always will be a rogue-like state. Nothing can be done about them. Let's prevent them from interfering in our affairs. They've shown similar behavior to their neighboring countries before, but we must be cautious. While Thornborough openly denies such claims, their past and current actions make it clear that they want to destabilize us. The weapon caches found in our intelligence agency clearly shows what their goals are. Our military must be steadfast and our diplomacy valiant. Losef looks stern and full of resolve. Rumberg threat is one of our top priorities. You can be assured of that. Hang on. I gotta sneeze. It's right there. Hang on. Fucking, it's right there. I hate this. Anyway, I'm not going to say that it's too far overblown because it isn't. But it's also not one of our top priorities. The third option would be we should keep them in mind but focus on other things. We are always in dialogue with our Rumberg ambassador to make sure a channel is open to solve disputes. We could use their aggressive attitude against them by convincing the international community. Lucian grabbed the Lockhaven Times newspaper and put his finger on the article about the latest diplomatic incident. Their abrupt announcement about the closure of the Rumburg consulate in Lockhaven is yet another step in their escalation. This covers the overview of the current situation. We will move on to our trade choice and the response to Rumburg's diplomatic escalation. The sun began to set over the hills surrounding Lockhaven. The team was ready to give advice on the new trade initiative and the response to the latest diplomatic incident with Rumburg. Peter arrived late and a little rougher than usual. It must have been the drinking from last night, I said again. Hey there, folks. Howdy, folks. Excuse my delay. I'm sure I didn't miss anything we didn't already know. You were supposed to be a part of this meeting, also on time. Punctuality is important. We are talking about serious subjects here. There was assigned a task for me. This is why he's late, so let's move on. They have a point, Peter. You should have discipline in the cabinet. Don't come. He was assigned a task from me. Yes, it went successfully, sir. Sir's tone was more serious. Accept a report on your desk tomorrow. The Vice President will be a part of the trade delegation, so it is great to have input on that subject, but also on the Rumburg incident. There are two issues at hand. Which topic should we tackle first? To address the diplomatic incident? We should move on to the trade negotiations. Yeah, we wanna not unite with United Contana, but also be closer with our two neighbors that want trade. Three neighbors that want trade. We should address the diplomatic incident. Well, two of them want trade, and one of them wants, stronger borders, but whatever. We should address the diplomatic incident. We should move on to the trade negotiations. I'm already at 36 minutes here, but we're going to go a little longer. Rumburg Consul Sir Bran Harrington announced the closure of the 120-year consulate. Now their diplomatic staff is leaving the city to go back to Thornborough. He blamed the lack of security in Sordland due to the assassination and subsequent protests, but it is obvious that they are making excuses. Bastards! First they close their consulate and then they blame our security. Security situation under control, they are playing with us. It could be genuine, but this reaction is necessary. Isn't it telling that other countries are working with us while Rumburg is cutting more ties with us? The neglect of President Alfonso and the chaos of the elections delayed our diplomatic efforts. Now there are only two Rumburg diplomatic missions left in Sordland. One is the consulate in Dyer, and the other is the embassy in Holsword. We are accustomed to the usual rhetoric, but this is far more serious. I must display strength to my people. We can't be pushed around. They are bluffing. We are used to it by now. We're accustomed. I don't want to fall into a sheepish role of hey, shit's going bad, but we can't do anything about it. And I also don't want to escalate things further because both are bad. I must display strength to my people. We can't be pushed around. We are a strong, united Sordland. That is what my whole thing is about. All of this may be a calculated plan of action to push us to a corner and act irrationally. This is my fear. They might be looking for a casus belli, and are slowly spiraling downward to find reasons to wage war. Losef Lancia was furious. He barely kept himself from slamming the desk. They are worrying developments like the smuggled arms and the buildup near the border. Our military must be buffed up to stand against a regional power like Rumburg. We either respond to this aggressive act with a diplomatic condemnation, or we retaliate by closing our consulate in Dome. I want to say that an escalation would be risky this early in our presidency. We should focus on creating a negative image of Rumburg in the international scene. People of Sordland must be protected, no matter the cost. I say we respond equally. We don't respond equally. Retaliate. Write an official diplomatic response condemning this unreasonable act. Declare that Rumburg aims to destabilize Sordland and the region. Think they can bully us? They were never so wrong. I don't think we should act. Losef, my dude, we can't just do that right now. As you wish, Mr. President. I shall begin work by immediately informing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Swaying the international stage is the key in long-term strategy. Dude, Lucian is my fucking compass. He knows everything, and I'm just going along with what he does and what he wants. I wish we had reacted more strongly. If we don't confront them, they will keep escalating the situation. On the other hand, I'm glad that we are taking the more cautious route. The thing, Losef Lancia, is that escalation is not a one-sided street. If somebody over there keeps being insane, and you go over there and be insane back at them, that's how escalation works. You can't just watch. What you do is you watch them be insane, and then you turn to the person beside you and say, whoa, that guy's insane. Look at that guy. I'm not doing anything over here. That person is doing it all by themselves. That's how you win. You don't fucking get involved. You turn to everyone else and say, that shit's crazy. You fucking idiots out there. Should move on to the new trade initiative. Our primary goal will be to successfully sign a trade agreement with one of our smaller neighbors. We have two options with the trade initiative: start a new negotiation with their old partner, Agnolia, and forming a new cooperation with Welland. Talk about the trade deal with Agnolia. Because they're already doing trade with us, and we're building a road out there. Agnolia is key. They have good shipping. Welland is important, but they're not in, like, a bad state with us. But improving trade might fucking minimize the whole new nation bullshit. God damn it. Alright, tell me about the trade with Agnolia. You're talking about it yet. We haven't decided anything. First off, the reason behind this option is more diplomatic than economic. Although, of course, we can't forgo the added economic value, Agnolia is an old ally and a valuable trade partner. The point we are at with the early negotiations is around the steel trade. They are demanding that we buy their steel for a higher price. That is because they think that the deal is far too unbalanced as it is. Their second main demand is a privileged access to our agricultural market. If we are to fulfill their demands in return, they are offering a full alliance with Sordland against Rumburg. Looking at the current advances of Rumburg near our borders, having a coalition against Rumburg would prove extremely useful. Absolutely, I completely agree with that. Obviously, there will be consequences for entering a full alliance. Mainly the issue is around the Helegi Islands. Vogsland has clear intentions on taking over the island one way or another, and entering a military alliance with Agnolia will make them furious. I want to state my support for the decision to stick to our old ally Agnolia. Even though I disagree with their demand to relax immigration, we have cooperated with them on many issues in the past. There are obviously subjects that we would still need to tackle, like our economics, the trade of goods, and what to do with immigration. My opinion is that this is a good deal and we should go for it. The new Agnolian Prime Minister is trying to improve the existing relationship. The downside is that we would need to make concessions, a reality of any trade deal. I would be open to creating a new trade agreement that would satisfy all sides. I don't want to give them any concessions to them. We can't position ourselves against Vogsland. One or three at this moment, and both are equally good to me. I would be open to creating a new agreement that would satisfy all sides. It just means against us and Agnolia, not all sides. Can't please all sides, that's just not possible. We can't position ourselves against Vogsland. Very important. I don't mind giving concessions to them because they are an old trading partner and it's good to be with them, but we can't position ourselves against Vogsland. They're powerful. We know that. That is certainly a valid reason. If we decide that Agnolia is a good option, another point is that they have a very democratic system. After the recent elections, the PM has a mandate to arrange a fairer deal with us. Martin von Horten also is an avid supporter of relaxed immigration. Since we said we will keep immigration relaxed, it will help us. Starting the highway construction in England plays a part too. Regardless, if we're going to increase our regional influence to previous levels, we might need to make amends with our neighbors. Ultimately, the decision will be up to you, as always. Tell me about the trade with Welland first. Dealing with a fractured country like Welland has its positives and negatives. Although it will be lucrative in short term, there are risks associated with dealing with such a country. They are proposing co-investment projects and a no-tariff agreement. They are also offering oil in return for attracting foreign capital interests from Sordland. However, it is possible that there will be international ramifications to getting closer with a country like Welland. All in all, it is a very lucrative deal for us, however. We need to think about the consequences. I certainly don't support the decision to become friendlier with Welland. We carried their burdens, and for decades, their migrants flooded our country, and now they're expecting a deal from us. Maintaining influence with Welland could prove useful. Yes, it is risky, but think about our influence on an underdeveloped region like that. We could also sell more products and enter their market easily. I'm of the opinion that it's simply too risky. Yes, we would gain resources and immediate capital, but I'm afraid of the consequences. You think the return is too lucrative to pass on? I think the return is too lucrative to pass on regardless of the risk. You may be right, it's risky. Now, this is a thing. This is a very, very thing. I wish the episode would have been over, but I've been here for the last 25 minutes in this scene. I think the return is too lucrative to pass on regardless of the risk. We need to fix the economy. That's the whole point, isn't it? Maybe right, it's risky. The migrant crisis was one of the reasons behind the destabilization of Sordland. I would like to point out that it was due to Welland. If we wish to go forward with the deal, when the time comes, there is a topic of immigration to consider. Victor Smalllock is a known isolationist. Our promise to keep our immigration policy relaxed will not help at all. He blames us for bringing Western interests to the region. He also doesn't want his political opponents to flee here. I personally don't like the idea of getting too close to Welland. Me too. Agreed. No, it's the wrong voice. Agreed. I still think we should give it a try. Since we did not promise to align with neither East nor West, it is very likely that their concerns would be more around the deal itself. We also need to consider the effects of our economic doctrine plan. The fact that we are headed towards a planned economy will have an influence. Good negotiators optimize the interests, which makes the differences become trivial, allowing both sides to reach a deal. Very well, Mr. Vectorn. We have a lot of time to prepare before the scheduled visits to Welland and Ignolia. I believe this gives a brief overview of our current options. Our trade delegation will begin work towards the end of the year. We expect a final negotiation and the signing to happen next year. I'm very much looking forward to visiting Stallport and Rocklewitz with party animals like David and Simon. Haha! Peter laughed. Losef narrowed his eyes and stared at him. Well, that concludes our meeting, Mr. Rayne. Thank you all for coming. Have a good day and enjoy Lockhaven. See you later, gentlemen. See you later, gentlemen. I will take my leave then. Sir. Sir. The meeting concluded and the team dispersed. Our diplomatic action plan officially began. Okay, we got a lot of things going on, but it's also the end. I decided to release a statement condemning Runeberg. Yes. Absolutely. But that'll be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, I'm Keywii. Have a delightful day. I love you all. Goodbye.